Jordi Cruyff joins us, son of the great Johan. Jordi, thank you for doing so. The book, what a great title, by the way, your dad's book, My Turn. Who came up with that? How clever is that?
Fantastic.
Well, somebody with more creativity than me.
Listen, you mentioned Cruyff and lack of creativity. I don't believe that.
Well, but it wasn't, I'm not, this is obviously, especially in English, it's a very, it's a double meaning, you know, the Cruyff turn and his own. And, like in Dutch, it's there's a different title to it, like My Story. But in England, it was a very clever game of the words.
Very much so. I mean, Jordi, he's your dad, but we all have an affinity with him, don't we? He for a certain generation, and I'm one of them, was the world's first great superstar. And we're watching pictures of him now as we talk to you. This fella not just dominated the game as a footballer, but also as a coach, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he really stood up for his own ideas, his principles of how the football game has to be played. And in his football dictionary, you know, the key words were always possession, building up from behind, pressure, you know, play to win, home and away. Always trying to have the ball possession, and you know, now we see that more and more coaches are following that, you know, those kinds of words of his vocabulary. But no matter what the result was, he always took by his principles, and I think he was kind of a romantic idealist of how, you know, how football has to be played.
You say romantic idealist. He was also a winner, and those key words you mention are shared by Pep Guardiola right now. Who he plucked from, I think, Barcelona B at the age of 17, and all but adopted. I mean, he could be your stepbrother, couldn't he? What did he see in Guardiola before anybody else?
Well, I think if you analyze Guardiola already as a player, I mean, he was not fast, he was not a tackler, he was not strong. Not physical, but he was a thinker, and he understood, you know, the angles of the game. 1 meter to the right or to the left can give you a complete different sight of how the game looks like, especially when you play in a position like his in front of the defense. So I think my father went against what was normal at that time. You know, in the 80s, people looked at the physical part, you know, speed, you know, tackling. My father used a whole different concept to analyze a player, and Guardiola just fit in really well. And as I said, Guardiola was not the typical player who just loved the game and played. He was actually some kind of, you know, call it an analyst of the game. He was always trying to find out why the coach wanted to do it like this, and you know, the reasons behind everything. And I think that probably made him a coach. I think already from young age, even I played with Pep a few years together in the same team, and he was always a thinker. You know, he was always looking at things different than the rest of us. We just saw it as a game, and we did what we could. And he was already one step thinking about how to find solutions to every problem.
Brilliant.
Jordi, if your dad was still with us, do you think he'd be going and watching Manchester City now? I know he spent a lot of time in Germany watching Munich, didn't he?
I think he would. Listen, I've seen my father watching more Bundesliga games than you know, in the previous 20 years when Pep was coaching Bayern. And even a lot of games like Champions League games where you know, 3-4 of the big teams and or 3-4 super interesting games are being played. But he would be watching Pep's team, and I think already it says enough about their friendship or their affinity they have in both of them in their way of thinking. And yes, I think Pep has used like the principles of my father's football philosophy, but we must give credit to Pep because he's modernized it and he's added a lot of his personal touches inside, and the fact is, you know, he's a very successful coach, and as things look now, he started off well.
I'm just wondering if that might have caused a little trouble internally within the family, bearing in mind your allegiances in Manchester.
Yes.
I will not change. That's for sure. But the truth is, I think it was a few weeks ago there was the game. And I did have a little bit of, you know, who I was supporting, and I just sort of took a step back. from that game and just let happen what has to happen, and I'll be less sad, because really I do think Pep is very close to my family, not only my father, also my mother. He's always, you know, I've been abroad, of course, in different countries, but he's always been very loyal and very complimentary to my father, and I do think in the end that kind of respect I have for him probably is more important than a game.
Jordi, honestly, I can't thank you enough for talking to us. An absolute privilege from our point of view to spend time talking to you about your dad and to Pep Guardiola as well. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jordi.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Thanks, Jordi. Jordi Cruyff. And the book, of course, My Turn by Johan, is available now. I knew nothing about football before knowing Cruyff, Pep Guardiola.
Well, it's taught me a lot.
Hasn't he just? I mean, what about, and I mean it, he's ours, isn't he?
It's fantastic.
Well, as Jordi's dad.
Yeah.
If you're in the Middle East and North Africa, stay where you are. There's more to come. To the rest of you and the rest of the world, thanks for your company. See you next week.